but yeah, it's an accomplishment when you do something that you're really afraid of. Do it anyway.
And it's such a great, it doesn't it just relate to business so much because so many
Yes.
do, like anytime someone uses your program or gives their card to someone or does their first discovery call or whatever, it we have to step outside of our comfort zone. I think that's actually one of the keys to being successful is being being ready and willing and courageous to be uncomfortable. And we, high achieving health coaches don't like to be uncomfortable. We like
No.
to kind of know what we're doing. And that's part of the deal, I think. Don't you guys
Yeah.
think?
Especially legally. Um, okay, so before we have talked about the different states and we've talked about our website and covering that. And you guys, we can still answer questions about those. As you come up with questions, and you will while we're talking, type them into the question box and we'll take breaks and answer them. But I thought it would be interesting today. Well, first of all, I want to talk to you, Lisa, and Lisa and I haven't discussed this. This is really kind of by the seat of our pants type of thing, but that it's better that way.
Just like a flying trapeze.
Yep. But I would like to talk to you about programs. We have, I don't know if you know, but we're out of the, well, we are still in the website business, but we're focusing really big this year on getting programs done. And so far this year, we put out UpLife. We put out Pure, which is a plant-based whole foods program. We put out a 3-part Art of Aging program.
That's so great.
Yeah, and we're going to, next month, we're going to teach health coaches how to create their own programs because we've kind of got a system set up for project management. And I thought it would be interesting today to talk to health coaches about the legalities of running the programs, whether it's
Absolutely.
online or, in brick and mortar.
Absolutely. We can totally talk about that. First of all, I love the fact that you've launched those 3 programs. How exciting. And they're areas that are so well needed, right? I mean, clearly you always do your research and figure out what would be helpful to people. But I love that. I mean, as a health coach myself, even though I spend most of my time doing legal work, I just thought that was great. And your programs are always so high quality and so well done, and you make it so easy. Like that's the gift of the work that you do is it's so easy to implement.
Yeah,
And just the content is really strong, which is great. So congratulations and kudos to you guys for that.
thank you.
So when it comes to protecting your programs, so what happens is one of the things that I think is most important when you're working with your clients in a program is being really clear with them about what the expectations are that you have for them, right? So that you can have a really successful program. You want them to show up and give their best, and you want them to know what to do to be able to do that. And a lot of times, they are looking to you as the health coach to be the leader of that relationship. They are getting their sort of guidance from you as to what they need to do to be able to walk through this program. So when you're protecting your program, you want to make sure that people are agreeing to your terms or signing your contract so that you can lay out in writing what exactly you expect of them, right? So if you're doing like the 3-month or 9-month or 12-month coaching program with them, you want them to use a client agreement that they sign with a pen or that they sign electronically on the computer, so that they're agreeing to how this program works and they understand how many calls they're going to get and what time they need to show up and how much they need to pay, of course, and what happens if they miss a payment or what happens if they miss a call. Because the clearer that we can be at the outset, then the fewer times there's confusion. And if there is confusion, you just go back to your contract to kind of work that out. So we use different contracts depending on what type of program you're operating, but the whole idea is to create clarity around the expectations, get everything in writing so that your clients don't get confused and concerned and then get lost in the process.
Well, and you know what, even if somebody disagrees, if you can bring them back and show them where you had it in writing, they're
Yeah.
a lot more accepting of the terms, that they just misread or didn't read or whatever. So I think
And
you
you
avoid a lot of, go ahead.
oh, sorry, Kathy, I get excited to talk about the law. So the other thing I was going to say about that is that a lot of times, it's awkward as a health coach. If your client isn't paying you or they're not showing up for a call or they're missing calls, it's really awkward for you to be like, how do you, it's an awkward conversation to have. So what I tell people is that your client agreement actually can do the heavy lifting for you, right? Because in your agreement, you have your refund policy, you have your payment policy, you have your calls, missed calls, rescheduling calls. So you can say to them, hey, you might not remember, but when you signed the contract, you agreed to my refund policy, which is this. And then you can just sort of copy and paste that refund policy into your email to them or say it to them in the conversation with them. So you're not really the bad guy. It's like you said, they already agreed to it. You're just sort of reminding them gently what they already agreed to, and you have the written backup so that it's harder for them to sort of squirrel out of that.
Right. I'm writing a new program that's a 30-day challenge. And I am to the point where, not too far along on day one, I'm actually past that, but on day one, I want the health coaches to be able to say, if you do not post your before pictures and your statistics and a few other things, that they will be removed from the group. And I think that it will help the health coach to get them engaged quickly and to do what they're supposed to do to be motivated to go on. Legally, can you do that?
Absolutely, you can do that. In fact, that's a really good strategy, almost like a stick strategy, they say, to help the client once they sign up to kind of stay in the program and, like you said, get engaged really quickly. The key is that if there are things that you want people to do, you just want to get it into your client agreement or into your terms of use so that they agree to it when they're signing up. The problem sometimes that coaches do is that maybe they have them sign agreement and then later, like
make up some new rules.
Yeah, I didn't really agree to this. It's not good for your reputation, but it's also just not good for the success of the program because the client doesn't know what's expected from them. And you know what? It always comes back to people, especially clients, they want to know how to get an A. They want to know how to do it right. They want to know how to get the results. So if you tell them that at the start, it eases their little critter brain or their worries or their mind, wondering, how am I supposed to really do this well? And you can just spell it out for them. That's great. I think that's great, Kathy. And I love the idea of the picture. Are you kidding?
Thank you.
Proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun program. I think a lot of people will get new customers out of it too. Well, plus you're going to see results if you have to put up a before picture and an after picture.
Totally. And just making them feel comfortable that it's okay to share that before picture when people are so scared to, share all their wrinkles and folds and things they're trying to shift, right?
Lumps.
Lumps and bumps, we've all got them. Yeah.
Okay, so it's important that they get signatures, and it's important that they make the rules apparent in some place where they sign it and they see it. What about copyright information?
So copyright information, a couple things. So copyright is an interesting area of the law because you can actually claim your rights to what you've created by putting a little C with a circle around it and then putting the name of your business after it. If you are a sole proprietor, it's just you hanging out a shingle, you put your name after the little C at the bottom usually of the website, your website, the bottom of your program page. You put your copyright information to say that you own it or created it. If you're an LLC or an S Corp, you put the name of the LLC or S Corp there. But it's only when that information is actually registered with the US Copyright Office that you get US copyright law protection. So let me just explain this real quick. The copyright on the document basically said, I like to say it's like climbing a mountain and you get to the top of the mountain, you put your flag in the mountain, like we did it, we did it, but you don't own the mountain, right? You climbed the mountain, you claimed it, and so you've said to the world, I've written this, I've created this, it's mine, it's my work, but it's not until you register it with the US Copyright Office that you get rights to actually sue someone based on copyright law if they take it. That's why you need your legal documents. Funny how that works, right? That's why you need your client agreement and your website terms and your website disclaimer and your terms of use and things like that, which say, hey, listen, in this document, if you swipe my stuff, then you're violating these terms. You're violating this agreement. You're violating these website terms and conditions. So you have some legal language to fall back on if someone walks off with your stuff. So just putting the C there, it gives you rights to sort of own it and declare that you own it. But to be able to go after someone, you either have to go after them under the protection of the copyright laws, or you can go after them under contract law, which is your client agreement, terms and conditions, and so on. Does that make sense?
And can you go after them under the contract law even if you haven't registered, or does it have to be registered?
Good point, Kathy. So they're two entirely separate areas of the law. They're totally different. That's why I talk about, so when you register something with the Copyright Office, most coaches don't do that unless you've written a book, or maybe you've written program guides or things that you don't want. Like when people create their own program, Kathy, when you teach them how to do that and they create a program guide and they're not going to ever change it, then that might be something to register with the Copyright Office. But copyrights are used for things that are mostly like not changed, like a song or a book or a play or a movie. Like once it's done, you register it. But health coaches, we like to change stuff all the time. We like to revise. So I tell people that's not the best solution for most health coaches. What a better solution is using the legal documents, which say in the document under contract law, this area of the law, that if you take my stuff, here's what happens. You're not allowed to take it and copy it and use it in your own program or sell it or whatever. You have to have my permission to do any of that. Then if they do that, they violated your terms and conditions or violated your contract. But it's up to you as the business owner to have that in place in the first place.
Okay, I have another question, and this is not to do any sales spiel or anything, but just to demonstrate the difference in price between somebody hiring you to do a contract for them and if they bought your contract package.
Sure. So most lawyers are perceived as being very expensive, right? We all walk around thinking lawyers just charge an arm and a leg for everything. And part of the reason is because they've got a lot of education to get to know the information that they know, and they're highly trained. And so a lot of lawyers will charge between $1,500 to $2,500 per legal document, which is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And it's also not that much money in the legal realm of things. But so for the reason why I created all the do-it-yourself templates is because, first of all, that's a lot of money for one document, okay? Even if it might be an appropriate rate for a lawyer to charge for one-on-one work, it's a lot of money for a health coach, especially when you're just starting out or building your business. So for me, I wanted to create do-it-yourself legal templates that are designed for health coaches and holistic practitioners with extra language in them around disclaimers and things that people need online, and charge about $400 or so with payment plans and things to make it easy for coaches to get the language that they needed without having to pay that money for that one-on-one work.
Well, and then they would have the contract package, so if they had 20 contracts to write, they could reuse it 20 times instead of paying, $40,000.
That's exactly why, Kathy, because I am a health coach too. Like my heart has always been with health coaches, even though I'm also a former healthcare attorney in a large corporate law firm, and I call myself a legal coach and attorney or a holistic lawyer. My heart has always been with, and as a health coach as well, I'm holistic in my approach. And so I don't want it to be difficult for you to get legal documents in place. I want you to protect the work that you're working so hard on and the business that you're working so hard to build. And I just don't think it needs to be crazy expensive. I just don't think it's necessary for you to use a template with an audio guide where you just listen, press play, and fill in the blanks. And at the end, you have your document. And like Kathy said, you can use it over and over again for all your different client programs. It's like wash, rinse, and repeat, right? Or cook once and eat twice. We love that concept as health coaches. So that's why I created it that way.
Well, I kind of think that if it was me doing this, I would want an attorney to look at it after I did it, even if I did do it out of so how much would it cost to have you overlook it, or to find somebody locally that would look over?
That's exactly right. So what I recommend with the do-it-yourself legal templates, which are about $400 or so, is you fill it out for your own business, and then you have a local lawyer look at it. You want to have a local lawyer look at it because each state and city and county have slightly different laws, and so you want to make sure that nothing needs to be tweaked or added for your state or your location. It's right there in the directions to do that. And usually they won't charge, I mean, I can't speak for every lawyer, but usually it's maybe a couple $100. Like, it's not much because the legal language is there that you need for the health coaching side. It's just whether or not, like, I'm obviously, you know, not a lawyer in every single state in the country, so I can't guarantee for you that it matches every law, and the law changes all the time. So you want to make sure you have a local lawyer look it over, but hopefully not much is going to need to be changed. Yeah.
Well, and if they have a local lawyer look it over, then if it needed to be litigated, then they would have some skin in the game because they've already said that this contract's okay.
That's right.
Used.
That's right. And Kathy, you know, from your business, we talk all the time. Like, I help people so much understanding their state laws, what they can and can't do as a health coach, and getting legal documents in place, especially when they're just starting out. And then also having a local lawyer who might need to help you if you are doing something with office space, or you're buying a building or home where you're going to be holding your office, and just to review your local documents. Or if you do get into a conflict, you have to register a case, not that we want that for you, but if you do a case or a mediation or an arbitration, you do that locally. So you want to have, like, my expertise is working with health coaches and online practitioners, and you also want a local lawyer to help you in your own community with local laws, local issues, and if you get into a conflict. That it's kind of an and. That's hence the ampersand on the wall. It's kind of an and.
How about trademarking the name of your program? How important is that?
Great point. Okay, so when you create your own program through Kathy's new fabulous program, she's going to teach you how to create your own program. I always tell people, how do you know if you have something to trademark, right? How do you know if you should trademark that program name? There's a three-pronged test. This is Lisa's three-pronged test to help you know when to trademark something. Number one, you want to know if you are passionate about it. Like, are you completely passionate about it that you would be heartbroken if you saw someone else out there using your exact same name? Like, you would feel your soul or your heart was taken out of you, and it would just be crushing because this name was so aligned with you and what you value. That would be one indication. The second indication is if you're making profit from it. You don't have to be making tons of money from it yet, but you want to make sure that it's something that is bringing in money for you and that you are using in your business, because when you file a trademark application, you actually have to prove to the government that you're using it in business. In other words, you can't have a trademark for a hobby. It has to be used in commerce and business. So are you making money from it? Or are you going to keep making a lot of money from it? And third is, what is the potential for it? Can you use it in other ways? Are you going to be using it for a long time? Because if it's just a name that you like, even if you're passionate about it, but you're like, oh, I'm going to change it in 2 years, don't trademark it, probably, because trademarking is it's one of the more expensive processes when it comes to law, and it should be, because it's giving you an asset, it's giving you something of value to own, but it's not worth spending the time and money on it if you don't think it's actually going to go through. So passionate, profit, and potential. If you feel really strongly about that, then it's worth talking to a lawyer to trademark.
That makes sense. How about photographs, stock photos, if you put stock photos in your program?
Good. That's a great question. Did you want to say more about that, Kathy?
Nope. If I asked enough, if I said enough to get an answer, then that's good.
We're good. We're good. So this is a question I get asked all the time, as you can imagine, right? So someone's creating their own program and they're like, I need images. I need images. Where can I find images? Here's the deal when it comes to images. You want to make sure that you actually are using images that either you have created with your own phone or camera. I guess phone, no one uses cameras anymore, but except for professional photographers, phone or camera, or you've created like in Canva or what other type of word swag or something that you've created yourself, or that you have purchased a license for, which is what Kathy's talking about, which is through a stock photo website. What is that? It's a website basically that sells photographs and images by photographers who have agreed to sell you the right to use their photo. So you pay $1 or $2 or $3 or whatever, just a very small rate to be able to use their photo. And the reason why this is important is because they let you use it, they give you a license to use it commercially, which means in your business, which means so you can make money without having to pay them any other royalties, right? So you buy it once, you download it, and then you can use that photo in your program guide or on your website or wherever. Just make sure you read the fine print on the stock photo site to make sure that that particular photographer has agreed to that, but usually that's the case. The reason why that's important is because this is what you don't want to do. You don't want to just go to your computer and type Google Images and pull up something and then snag it. Like, do not do that. No, let's not do that. Because you could be violating that photographer's copyright. You haven't gotten permission to use that image from the internet. So create your own, take your own pictures, create quotes or images or whatever in Canva or wherever, and then also buy stock photos so that you're not violating anyone's copyright. You have permission to use them, and especially to make money.
Yeah, they specifically say there's some, like in deposit photos or Shutterstock, where they have only gotten permission to use it for editorial use, and that's why you got to read the fine print on it too.
Yeah, I know most of them through Big Stock Photo or there's another one. They do allow you to do that, but yeah, definitely always read the fine print, but yes.
Yeah. Mary wants to know, what about the freebie ones like on Pixabay or such that say they are free to use both privately and commercially?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because there are also a lot of free stock photo websites out there as well. And actually, I have a podcast that I launched this winter, and one of the upcoming episodes that hasn't aired yet but that I've recorded is actually on this whole thing with how to use people's images without violating other people's rights. So stay tuned for that. It's coming out soon. And the reason why I say that is because I also give a list of my favorite paid stock photo websites and paid free photo websites. So to your point, Mary, there are lots of free photo websites out there. That's fine. Again, just read the fine print and make sure that they do say commercially. But you don't have to pay money for them. You just have to make sure the photographer has released the copyright rights to let you do that. That's the key part.
Do you know what, while we're on this topic, I know that nobody's thought of this, but what if they are doing a video that goes along with it and they want to play The Lion King at the beginning?
The Lion. So, there are also stock music websites where you can go and see if you can find a clip of The Lion King that you can pay for. I don't know if you can or not. I don't know if that's what they sell.
It would probably cost an arm and a leg.
I mean, I have to tell you, on a stock photo website the other day, one of the basic ones we just talked about, like Big Stock or Shutterstock or whatever, someone found a photo of Lady Gaga, and someone else found a photo of Beyonce, and someone else, like, there are stars and people who put their photos out there that you think you'd have to pay a fortune for, but you really don't. So definitely look, stock music. Or royalty-free music, it's also called, or royalty-free.
Yeah. Very good. What other questions come up on legalities of programs?
Oh, I have one, Kathy.
Okay.
One of the things I think that's really important, especially when you're creating your own program, is that you want to make sure people know that you are a health coach and you're not giving them medical advice, right?
The disclaimer.
The mini disclaimer. Like, here's your program guide. At the bottom of the page, you want to put what I call a mini disclaimer. That's not a true legal term of art. I just created that to make it easy to distinguish. Disclaimer on your website. But you want to have that 2 or 3 lines that says, this is information education. I am not a doctor. I'm not sharing medical advice with you. And even if you are a doctor who's also a health coach, you still want people to know this is not medical advice, because you're just giving them a program guide. Like, you're not in a one-on-one physician relationship with them, even if you are a health coach. So be very clear. This is not substituting for a relationship with your doctor. Please continue to work with your medical team. This is information to help you in your journey, like that type of languaging, so that you're informing. You guys, the whole purpose of the law is to really create clarity with your clients. Clarity. And when you have clarity, you don't have as much confusion. You don't have as many people backing out. You don't have as many people not paying you or asking for refunds or thinking that you're giving them medical information when you're really just giving them a beautiful program to help them with their own self-healing journey. The more you communicate clearly from the start, I believe, just the fewer headaches that you have later. You've set clear boundaries. You've used clear language. Again, it's good to have lawyers help you with this because you only usually have to do it once and then off you go. And it just makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, the disclaimer is really important. We put that on all of ours. Well, you know what? Let's talk about one other thing, the value of having a program for a health coach over one-on-one
Yeah.
meetings for legal safety.
Okay. So there's several reasons why having a program is really helpful over a one-on-one. And of course, one of those main reasons is your time, saving your time and energy on sort of the practical side. But legally, what happens is when you're giving a program to someone that's already pre-prepared for you, like so many of the health coach group programs are, you are providing general information for everyone. And even if it's specific about, like, Pure is designed to help people with their making whole food healthy choices and things like that, you want to still, you're reaching a lot of people in a way that you're giving them all the same information. And because the health coaching laws change so much in the country, you're in a really safer position because you're not giving individualized nutrition advice, or what could be perceived to be individualized nutrition advice. And that actually can keep you safer in some states, or at least reduce your risk and give you a better defense in some states where individualized nutrition advice is not as allowed, not as easy to do. So the program gives you, someone can't come after you and say you're personalizing something or customizing something when you're giving the same information to everyone, even because it's beautiful information that will really help them. So I think that's the best way I would answer that, Kathy. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
Nope, that was it. That was exactly it.
Yeah. Programs are amazing. I've known Kathy for several years, at least 4 or 5 years now, Kathy. And I just love the work that you do because you make it so easy for people to keep themselves safer, to share incredible, meaningful information that helps change people's lives. And you as health coaches always add your own flavor and your own heart and your own, knowledge to the mix. It's just, I wish, I love it. I love it, Kathy. I just love what you're doing. I wish it was, I wish everyone made business so easy. They just don't, but you do. So thank you.
Thanks for saying that. Maybe we ought to take this out and put it in a commercial. Do we need to get any legal documents for that?
Yes, I'm happy to. I've been an Inner Circle member myself, and I've been to retreats, and I've experienced this work myself on the health coaching side as well as on the legal side. So I'm a huge, Kathy, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge advocate. I'm happy to share, as is everyone, I'm sure, who's in here watching this. We all love you and the work that you and Ashlie and your whole team does, and happy to be an advocate for you.
Thank you.
And she didn't tell me to say that.
I did not give her words and put them in her mouth. She did good on her own. What else?
What else?
Anything else on programs? Because I thought I'd pick your brain a little bit about your podcast too.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So for the programs, just to kind of recap everyone, okay? So first of all, using programs that are designed for everyone can really help reduce your risk, particularly if you're in a red or an orange state. You want to make sure that you have people signing a contract or agreeing to your terms and checking the little box that they agree when you are having them access your program. Depending on how you like to do your work, it's either a client agreement or it's a terms of use is what I call it, which has all the legal terms in it that they can agree to. So you want to make sure you're doing that so they're clear on your policies, because remember, it all comes back to clarity about your payment plan, your refund plan, what's included, who they contact if they have questions, what happens if they need to ask for a refund, do you give refunds, do you give no refunds, do you give partial refunds? You just want to be clear about all of that. And then you want to have your mini disclaimer on the bottom of your program guide that says that this is just information, you're not the doctor, you're not giving them medical advice. You want to have your little C in the bottom left-hand corner with your name or the name of your LLC or S Corp to show that when you create your own program, that this is your program guide that you created. And what else? Did we say anything else? I think that covers it.
Yeah, make sure you have
photos,
license to use pictures.
Got it. License to use pictures and music, and you can get free stock photos or you can get paid stock photos or create them yourself.
Yeah. what about resources? If in references, say that you give information taken from some kind of governmental study, what
Mhm.
kind of documentation are you required to do there?
So that's a great question because people will say, well, what if I want to add on the end, like you should read this book or you should look at this study or you should look at this? You can, okay, there's a couple things you can do. One, you can do a list of references. You guys remember like back in school when you used to have to do projects, like written projects, and you had to write your little bibliography at the end, which is so not fun, but it is practical. You do want to cite your sources. You can do it that way. So you can do footnotes or endnotes in your program guide if you're citing a source or citing a study, and make sure to list where you found that information. The whole point is that you don't want people to think that you're taking information and claiming that you created it when it actually was created by someone else. You want to give them that credit. You also, when you're, to your point too, Kathy, when you're citing a study, a lot of times, you know, you are always allowed to share your own personal experience of what you've gone through as a part of your program. So, you know, maybe you want to help people around an autoimmune disease. You can always talk about your own experience with an autoimmune disease that you are overcoming. Or you can cite a study that talks about something that has helped with relieving symptoms of autoimmune disease. But you don't want to make medical claims. You don't want to say that you are the one saying that this will cure their autoimmune disease or prevent it or heal it or whatever. You can cite a study that will talk about that. You want to make sure to write down the study in your little bibliography, your footnote, whatever, on your program, in your program terms. So try not, just think of it this way. You don't want to take credit for other people's work, which not that you would ever do that intentionally, because I know you're all good-hearted health coaches, but you don't want to do that. And you also just want to make sure you're giving credit to the source that actually that information came from and using that so that you aren't getting yourself in trouble by making a medical claim. So that's kind of a two-part way to protect yourself and to include references or resources in your programs.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good job for a VA. You should, with Art of Aging, I had like 25 pages of
Oh, I bet.
references for that. I gave it to Amanda and she got it all pretty for me.
Hey, Amanda. I know when I wrote my book last year, my easy legal steps that are also good for
Yeah.
your, I had to do so much of that too. But you know what? When you do cite those studies, first of all, you're protecting yourself. You're not taking credit for other people's work, but you're also showing credibility. I think you're also showing credibility. You've done your homework.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at reputable sources where you've gotten this information to show people that you actually do know what you're talking about. You are studied. You have learned. You have knowledge, and you're citing information to back you up.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the problems online with all the blogs is there's so many opinion-based blogs instead of scientific fact-based blogs that it's hard to find the truth about anything. So having the references is a big deal.
And I love that you model that for everyone too, Kathy, with your Art of Aging program. Like you model how to do that properly so that people can see, oh, this is how you do it. Because it's hard to remember all that from high school when we all learned how to do that in our English class papers or
Well,
whatever. I
I've
had to
got a
myself
secret
when
that,
I wrote my book.
yeah, Microsoft Word has a feature on it that all you have to do is enter the information and they put it all in the right order for you.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
there's secrets.
There are
Okay, tell us, does anybody have questions about programs? Now's a good time to ask if you have any questions. We must be talking about everything they want to know because there aren't any questions here.
ask anything you want.
Okay, tell us about your podcast.
Okay. So here's the thing. When this January, I wanted to create a podcast. It's called Legally Enlightened. And I wanted to give free legal tips to people. But here's the trick. They have to be bite-sized because no one wants to listen to an hour-long podcast about the law. And I certainly don't want to give an hour-long podcast about the law every week. So they're bite-sized legal tips that come out every Monday about little tiny small questions that people have, but the questions that I get all the time, like when is the right time to form an LLC, or what's the best number one reason to have a client agreement, or the one I told you, one's coming up on using other people's images without their permission, or how to use other people's images properly off of the internet. I can't even remember the title to my own freaking podcast episode, but we've released 9 now. This week is how to keep copycats from swiping your copy. So you can find it on iTunes. You can also find it on my website, which is just lisafraley.com/podcast. But I love sharing answers to questions to break the law down, kind of like we're doing today, into just simple, easy legal tips to help you get the information that you need when you have a specific question without having to hunt all around and find it. Kathy, it's been really fun. I have to say, though, it was a little scary for me to do the podcast at first because it felt really like a big project. Like once you commit, you're doing it. And I know you guys have done these webinars week after week after week, which I so admire, because it really is, it is a gift to people to be able to share that information. I mean, it warms my soul and I'm happy to do it, but it's a big thing to undertake, and I've just been really, really thrilled with the feedback, and people seem to really like these bite-sized legal tips. So the whole idea is to just make the law and life a little bit lighter and brighter and make it not heavy and yucky and hard to understand.
So you were a little bit scared to do it, kind of like the flying trapeze.
Totally. True confession. Yeah. Yeah, because I talk in webinars all the time. I gave over 100 webinar podcast interviews last year where I'm a guest. I do that all the time and love it. I'm very comfortable in this format. It feels really like I can just show up and give and share information and help other people know what to do. But somehow when you turn the camera on me or turn the microphone on me, it feels weird to just share a legal tip. But I have to tell you, we all have our fears. Me too. I've been a lawyer for 22 years. I've been a health coach. I started in 2011. I started this practice online 2012. It's now 2018. Like, I've been doing this for a long time. And every time we all do something new, it's scary. And so I have a podcast producer. I had a podcast coach. I had people help me, just like Kathy did with her notes in her Age of Aging program. Like, we can't always do it ourselves. We need help and support, and we just have to know when to go ask for help and get help. And but now I'm really happy about it. I'm really thrilled to be doing it. It's only 9. We only have 9 episodes so far, but I've already recorded 18, so I'm ahead of the game, and it feels good.
How long does it take you to record an episode?
Oh, okay. So I'm not your typical podcast. In fact, my podcast coach was like, Lisa, this is like totally not the normal podcast. And I said, you know what? I'm not a normal lawyer. I've never been a normal lawyer.
What's normal?
I think people come on with talking points or things they want to teach, but it's really, or at least the people he works with, it's a lot of like riffing and conversations back and forth, and it's very casual. And mine are very clear legal tips that are just spelled out for you. Like I said, most are around 15 or 18 minutes. So for me, I actually do a lot of prep on the front end, like more than I even wish to share, but I will share. Like, some have even taken me 4 hours to write. Some take 1 hour, some take 25 minutes, some I can use from pull stuff from my book, but some take a really long time because when I'm sharing legal information, it needs to be accurate, it needs to be thorough, and it needs to not be overwhelming. So I have to take the law and translate it into plain English. And sometimes it just takes me a while to do that, quite frankly, Kathy. But if other people are thinking of doing a podcast, you do not have to spend that much time. It's just not always easy to explain the law in sound bites. And my brain takes sometimes a little while to translate it. So.
Yeah, I like the idea of 15 minutes because I would not want to sit down and listen to something for that long.
No. But the other day I sat down, and what I find for me is sometimes I'll carve out time to write the podcast episode, but sometimes it just comes to me and I'll just like stop checking email and I'll turn and it'll be like, and it just pours right out of me, and it took 20 minutes and I'm done. So it really just kind of depends on what I need to say. Some topics require me to do some research before I go out there and share them with other people too. So, it's like all of us. It's like researching your own program that when you're teaching people how to create their own program. Some parts of your own program, you can just sit down and type and it's done in 15 minutes. You just finished a whole section. And other sections, you do have to go research what you want to put in. It's the same kind of thing. And I think if you're a responsible business person and you are someone who always wants to come from integrity and do your best work, you are going to take the time to do it. And some just take me a little bit longer. But It makes me happy. I mean, it makes me happy to do it. And any legal information I can give away for free, are you kidding? Like, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that. I try to make all of my legal documents and my services very reasonable, actually, for a lawyer. But I know what it's like to be a new business owner. I know what it's like to be a health coach starting out. I know how expensive everything is. And I want to help give pieces of information that make it easy for people. That's why I have the book. That's why I have the podcast. So you can know what to do to protect yourself as you grow.
Do you do your podcasts at home?
I do, right here.
Do you?
Right, yeah. I sit right here. I do use a blue Yeti, I think it's called, microphone. You know, like, once you think of the old radio station, those big old microphones.
Yeah, I've got one of those here. I never quite figured it out, but
I can tell you, Kathy, it's
is
great.
it easy?
It's very easy, and it just actually helps your voice come through more clearly. You have to kind of hold it, or I set it on books and stack it on stuff close to my mouth, and then I record it using Zoom. And my podcast producer said that was totally fine. You don't need fancy schmancy equipment, anyone. You know, you just need to do it, and that's what I love about him, is that he really helped me just get into the space of taking action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be amazing. It just needs to be true and honest and truthful and helpful. Done. And I was like, I can do that, right? I can do that. So that's what I did. And I just record them. I tend to record it, for me personally, soon after I write it, because I'm in that same energy. I mean, unless I'm like tired or my voice is yucky or I'm coughing or something, you know, right? I tend to record it when I'm feeling the same energy of when I wrote it, because it just flows better. I know, you know, when you put something down, you go back to it later, it might be fresh, but when you record, you can pause and they can edit things out. But, you know, I try to do that as minimally as possible. I try to just go through the whole thing, and I like it to feel like I'm in that energy when I'm recording it.
What does your business gain from having a podcast? Do you get more people on your list? Do you get more credibility? What?
Yeah, so I think people do podcasts for different reasons, depending on what you want for your practice. So there were several reasons why I wanted to do it. So I have been doing this work for several years, 5.5 years, and I was working one-on-one with clients. I now have 35 do-it-yourself legal templates, and I have my newsletter I send out every week. And then last year I wrote my book, but I kept wanting to find ways for people to get free information in a way that was succinctly packaged. So for me, it was about educating people, about sharing information for them to help them in ways that didn't cost money for them. So if I wanted to do it for free. It does also potentially add people to your community and your list, because you're reaching people in a different way. Some people like to read your blog or newsletter. Some people like to hear audio when they're working out or in their car or whatever. So you're catering to a different way that people like to learn. And then, of course, it also can lead people back to your products, right? So like if I'm educating people about LLCs, naturally there are people who go, well, I need an LLC, where can I get an LLC? And then they may think to come back and have me help them with an LLC, for example. So it's really multi-pronged. It's credibility, it's exposure, it's helping to teach information in a different way for people to understand. For me, it was important to do something for free. And then obviously you do also want to build your business as you grow. So, and I don't mind being on camera for you, Kathy, and people where I do webinars for other people, but I'm just not someone who naturally like hops onto Facebook Live. It's just not my natural state. But doing audio is much more comfortable for me. So it's really easy to do whenever it feels good in my pajamas. And that convenience factor was helpful for me too.
How is it distributed?
So we distribute it in several ways. So first of all, it's on iTunes. It's also on Stitcher, which is for people who use Android. It's also on Google Play. And my podcast producer does all of this. Like, I just give him the raw podcast and then he makes the magic happen and puts it everywhere. It's also every Monday we send out a newsletter talking about the topic of the week for the podcast and just telling people a little bit about what each podcast is about. And then they just click the link that they can listen to either on my website. We host it on my website as well as on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play, so people can access it no matter where they are. We also do 2 social media posts a week. One is on the day that it launches about the podcast. And then later in the week, on Thursday, I think it is, we do one with just a quote from the podcast to just mention it again. We do that on Facebook. We do that on Instagram. And I think I think my Facebook connects to Twitter. So I'm not a big tweeter, but I think Facebook or something connects to Twitter. So somehow it ends up on Twitter magically as well. And that's how we promote it. And then, just talking about it word of mouth. That's how we promote it and share it.
I like what you say about just taking the raw podcast and handing it to somebody and letting them do it.
Yeah, and the guy I work with is a great guy. He's young, but he's very experienced. He's a musician. He's worked in sound. He went to school for sound editing and sound management. I'm not even sure I'm saying it properly, so forgive me for people who know sound engineering. He also has written a national jingle for a commercial. Like, he's a really talented guy. He's just newer in creating his business, and so he's very reasonable but very supportive. You guys don't have to do this if you want to create a podcast, but I needed the mental preparation. So I did a 12-week program with him to help me figure out, like, what is your title and what is your description and what are you going to make these podcasts about and what are you going to say and what are your topics, and just to help me. I'm very busy, and so I needed to carve that in time in my calendar to sort of harness my brain to help me focus on it and get it done. And that was really helpful for me. But you could just hire him also to just take the raw footage and put it up everywhere for you. So he has various packages, like we all do, available to help.
Well, it's like he set up the project management for you for setting it up. That's worth a lot just in itself.
It is.
Cindy had a question. Can you share a price range, approximate cost for typical trademarking?
Oh, sure. So, okay. So you guys, the reason why I created all those do-it-yourself legal templates is because I think there's so many contracts and disclaimers and website terms and conditions and privacy policies and things like that you need a little guidance and a little education about it, but you can pretty much do it on your own. You can just fill out the form, listen to the audio, and off you go. However, when it comes to trademarking, this is one area, and I say this consistently, that it's, I think, really important to have a lawyer help you with this who's experienced in trademarking. So anytime you're going to have a lawyer help you, obviously it's going to be more expensive than if you just tried to do it on your own. What happens when a lot of people do it on their own is they end up coming to me and saying, I tried it on my own, it didn't work, can you help me? So trademarking to do with a lawyer can be usually between $2,000 to $3,000. And obviously, like me, I do payment plans. I don't know if every lawyer does that, but I do payment plans for people to make it easier. But what that includes is basically starting at the beginning of filing the application, helping to determine the description and the classes it should be filed in, and taking it through the whole process. If the USPTO comes back and objects, which they do sometimes, you have to defend that objection, and that's a legal argument that you're making. So you just walk it through the whole process for the client and kind of do the work for them. They don't have to do anything. They just show up at the beginning and provide what you need, and then you take care of the rest. And it can take 6 to 18 months for trademarking. So it's just an area where, because you end up with an asset that has value, I just recommend working with a lawyer. If you do it online or you do it through a service, it can be $300, $600, $900 depending on what you do. But you don't usually have any guidance, and that's usually when the mistakes happen. But like anything, it's totally up to you whether you choose to do it on your own or you have someone help you.
Lisa did my trademarks for me, and I would not have wanted to do it myself. There was a couple of them that came back a little bit different, and I don't remember doing anything except for maybe signing a couple of papers. Isn't that about all I did?
You did also provide me at the beginning with what's called proof of use. You probably just don't remember, Kathy. So
yeah, it's been a few years. You know what? We've known each other 7 years now. That's how long we've, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wow, that's a long time. So that's amazing. So what Kathy's referring to is when you file a trademark, you can file it 2 ways. First is you can say, I have the intention to be using this in the future. But then you have to provide proof that you're going to be using it. They just give you a little bit of time to get your proof together. Or the common way, which was what Kathy did, is where you provide proof that you're using it now in your business. So you have to show proof of if you're using it on your website, or if you're using it in marketing materials, or if you're using it on a business card. Like, we have to show the government that you actually are using this program name or whatever it is that you want to trademark. And by the way, you guys, I do have a podcast episode on what you should trademark for your business that you can find, like we talked about at Legally Enlightened podcast. It doesn't go into the trademarking process, but it just talks about the kinds of things that you can trademark. But once you have that figured out and you know what you want to trademark and you've done a search and it's all cleared, ready to go, then you have to provide proof that you're using it.
Passionate, profit, and potential, right?
Yeah, that's right. The podcast doesn't even go into that. That's different.
Doesn't it?
No, you guys got a little bonus point there.
Yeah, you know what? For 15 minutes, I think I'd sit down and listen to all the podcasts over a weekend. Just take little breaks in between.
I like to listen to podcasts when I run or speed walk or whatever, just to get away from it all, but yet you're still using your time well to learn something. So yeah, that's good. Thanks for saying that, Kathy.
No problem. We don't have any other question. Oh, wait, we do.
Oh, good.
Did I miss her podcast station? Mary wants to know how to get your podcast.
Sure. Couple ways. You can look it up on iTunes or Stitcher under Legally Enlightened Podcast. Or you can just type in Lisa Fraley, F-R-A-L-E-Y, Lisa Fraley. You'll find it there. You can also go to my website, lisafraley.com, Fraley.com/podcast, and you'll find it there. And then if you want, you don't have to, but if you do choose to join my tribe, you'll get emails every Monday that will tell you what the podcast episode is coming up, and you just click to listen. So it's super easy.
Well, there's probably just a place there to click on so that you'll get it automatically, right?
Yeah. Yes. If you subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher, you'll get it automatically sent to your device. Yeah. Isn't that nice that they do that? It's amazing.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about it every week. It's good. Yeah. Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking the question, Mary. She said thanks. Okay.
If you are thinking of starting a podcast, though, I encourage you to do it, because even if you're like me and it can feel scary, it's a really great way to spread the word about your business. So anyhow, one last just encouragement for people.
Well, I think that having that person to be able to hand it off to makes it a lot less scary too.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have to know the technical side at all. You just have to know what you want to call it, how you describe it, what you want to cover, and then just record your episodes and you can hand the rest off. So if anyone has questions about that, Kathy, can I just share how they can get that? I'm happy to refer them to my guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, just email me at lisa@lisafraley.com and I'll connect you to my podcast producer.
I would like to be connected to him.
I will send you an email, Kathy.
I want to be first on the list. So.
I got you covered, girlfriend. You're good.
Cool. Okay, well, we are going to finish on time. Well, we've been pretty good about finishing on time lately. Lisa, thank you so much. As always, it was fun and informational, and I think everybody learned a lot from you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Kathy, and thank you all for listening and just for caring about the legal part of your business. I know that's not always at the top of the list, but you'll find as your business grows, it gets more and more and more important. So starting early can really help you save time and money and dollars. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Hey, Ashlie, thanks. You didn't get to talk very much this time.
I know.
Thanks. See you guys all next week. Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
Bye.